Hey, welcome back to the Google Ads series for cardiologists. So if you are taking this in sequential order, we are now deep into it, right? So we've covered a lot of ground. We've started with conversion tracking, which is one of the first things that you should do because it's really, really important to measure success. Number 2 is knowing your goals. Number 3 is doing a profitability analysis and figuring out how much you are going to spend and finding that comfort level where you can get ROI over time. We also dove into the different Google Ads formulas such as ad rank and quality score, and we talked about how the inner workings of the Google Ads engine work. We talked about keyword research, how to do research properly, start to get your keywords in order in the Google Sheets document. Then we talked a little bit about the campaign structure for high intent searches, bidding strategies. We moved everything in the Google Sheets document into the editor. And now finally, we are ready to build out ad copy and do it the right way. Okay, so there's a whole process to this. Let me take you through it. And just as a reminder, this is where we built out the ad copy. Okay, so if you missed this portion of the series, go back and watch that video. How we actually build out ad copy and keywords. It's both keywords and ad copy. So the information that we actually load into the account starts from the keyword build here in the Google Sheets document. Again, I'm not going to get into the details of this because it's in another video that is pretty detailed and lengthy, and it's just chock full of very valuable information. So if you missed that, be sure to go back and check it out in the series. And then we also created ad copy that's ready to go. From there, we move that into the Google Ads editor, which you'll see here. We imported all of that information from the Google Sheets document into the editor, and then we pushed it live into the account. So let's go over into the account and we'll take a look at how that looks structurally, and I'll talk you through that. Okay, so here we are in the Google Ads account. This is a test account where I am building out a cardiology campaign. You're going to see actually 2 different campaigns that are pre-built. We have one here called Cardiology Isolation and Cardiology Exploratory. Sometimes we call that Exploration. These are just internal names that we give these particular campaigns. Isolation, as discussed in a prior video, isolation is when we take the keywords that we know have the highest probability of success and conversion. Again, conversions being bookings, phone calls, form submissions for your cardiology practice. We isolate them in very tightly defined ad groups, and then we create ad copy for them. Again, all in that Google Sheets document. Now, do you have to do the Google Sheets technique? Absolutely not. You could build this from scratch. Within your account. It's just going to be very, very time consuming and not as efficient. There's a lot of good reasons for using that Google Sheets method in that it keeps everything organized, structured, and you're able to take patterns as they present themselves with keyword opportunities and then replicate them quite easily. And it's also collaborative. So you can share it with your team, or if you're working for a client, you can share it with the client for final approval and maybe some adjustments. So we've taken all of that data that we built in Sheets, we pulled it into the Google Ads editor, and then we pushed it live into the account, which is what you see here. Now, this particular campaign, Cardiology Isolation, is where we start. Let me make this a little smaller so we can see. So we have these now tightly themed ad groups like we talked about in previous videos, right? So if I click on Best Cardiologist, you're going to see 3 keywords. I mean, sometimes it's 5, 6, 7, could be more, could be up to 10. In this particular ad group, it's just 3. You can see top cardiologist, best cardiologist, top rated cardiologist. And I just imported these into the account. So I can already see estimates for how much I can expect to be bidding under the status column. You can see here for top cardiologist, below first page bid, $3.59 below first page, because these bids are set to a penny right now. It says, $5.18, 57 cents. So these are actually looking pretty good for this market. This particular market for this load is Florida. Okay, so just so you know. Now they can change considerably depending on the time of day because this is a dynamic auction and these prices constantly change throughout the day. But this is more about ad copy, right? So let's take a look at the ad copy as well. So when we go into the ad copy, we can see one of the ads that was created. This is for best, again, we're looking at the best cardiologist ad group, as you can see up here. And you can see if I click on the little pencil icon and we go into this particular section, you're going to see a lot of different headlines. These are all built out in that Google Sheets document again, right? So best cardiologist near you, #1 cardiology clinic near you, find the best cardiologist now, exploring or expert cardiology care. I'm not going to read through every single one, but you can see, all of them as I scroll through here, right? So different things that you can express. I would say with the ad copy, make sure you're not repeating, saying things exactly the same between headlines. Try to diversify your headline. So features, features, benefits, trust signals, anything you can do to make yourself different than the competition, for sure. So, for example, over 60 years in business. That's huge. Board certified physicians. And then a CTA, book your appointment today. Okay, so here we have South Florida's. These are the descriptions. There's 4 descriptions. By the way, obviously they don't show up all at the same time. This is a dynamic ad unit. So there's 15 headlines and 4 descriptions, and Google will move those out dynamically, and it will actually learn as you're moving forward in time as to what is converting and what's not, what is effective and what's not, and you can actually go through the ad copy and make adjustments and introduce new ad copy as you move forward in time. As we scroll through, you can see there's 4 different descriptions, like I said. Now, we would come back in after we loaded all this data from the Google Sheets, and we'd plug in the images. We would get the business name in there. We'd upload the logo. We would add the assets, and they're like site links. There's a whole bunch of assets, right? So here's asset types. You can see there's some of them are not applicable at all, but you can see there should be a call extension, there should be call outs, structured snippets, a whole bunch of them. Okay, but that's not what this video is about. Right now, we're just going to talk about ad copy. And how do we get, so the question is and kind of stepping back, how did we get that ad copy into that particular, what did we do to get that ad copy in there to begin with, into that Google Sheets document? So we talked about using various tools within Google Ads. So there's a lot of third-party tools like SpyFu and SEMrush where you can see what competitors are running. But really, the tools that you need are built into Google Ads. And you can go into the ad preview and diagnostic tool. You could do a search in your area to see what other advertisers. If you're actually in your area, just do a search. Just do a search for cardiologists near me and see what ads are showing up. Don't click on them because that's going to cost them money, but just visually see what's going on, and you can learn a lot for sure. You can also use that under tools, and it's actually under troubleshooting, interestingly enough, but under troubleshooting, there's ad preview and diagnosis. And in this particular tool, you can transport yourself to anywhere in the country and do any searches that are related to cardiology, and then you'll be able to see some ads. So let's actually do that. Cardiologist near me. That's a popular one. So we haven't activated anything yet, so that's why it says this. All right, so what we need to do at this point is say preview. So don't forget to click on that tab, and then you'll see a preview of what that looks like. And as I scroll through, sometimes it doesn't show. I don't know why. On the mobile device option here, a lot of times it will not show, and what I need to do is toggle over to desktop, which I feel is better visually anyway to see what's going on. All right, so now we are looking as though we're in Florida and doing a search for cardiology near me. And at this particular time, I'm not seeing any ads, so I'm not sure why that is. But most of the time you will. In fact, let's just kind of toggle back and forth to see if we can trigger it. So let's just go to tablet, see what happens. It's taking a little while to load. Okay, I'm going to go back to mobile. The tablet was a little slow. Okay, I'm not seeing any in this tool, but it does work most of the time. It just happens to be when I'm running it right now. In fact, let me just try a different. I'm going to do let's fly to Denver. All right, so we're going to go to Denver. Let's see what happens. If we could get this to show ads. If we switch the city, there we go. So now we're looking in Denver. Here's Intermountain Health. Find cardiologists near you. So this is a great way to just kind of scroll through and see other companies that are advertising. Not that you would want to copy anything they're doing verbatim, but just learn from what they're doing, see how they're positioning the practice, and make it even better, right? And you've got 15 different headlines, so you can definitely try different things on a regular basis. And again, that ad unit is dynamic, so Google will move those headlines in and out in those descriptions, and you'll learn over time what actually works and what doesn't. I moved this over to desktop. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing any ads. Oh, here we go. So again, Intermountain Cardiologist. So just play with that tool, because that's one of many methods for doing this. Another method, again, would be you can use third-party tools. SEMrush comes to mind. SpyFu comes to mind. These tools have been around forever. They're usually used for SEO, but they do have sections for PPC where you can see over in certain lengths of time. Actually, you can go way back and see what your competitors were running like months and months ago. And I believe they get this data. They don't have a direct connection into Google, but they get this data by doing these various searches. And I believe it's somehow related to ISP data, so the data that passes through the internet. And they're able to see and record the ads that show up for a whole bunch of different phrases related to cardiology. So that's an idea as well. Okay, so when you are first starting out and you are, let's say that you've done the competitive analysis, you have an idea with how the market is, other cardiologists in your area are positioning themselves. You've jotted down a whole bunch of ideas, maybe a notepad or maybe even on a piece of paper, and you're thinking about how you want your ads to speak to your target audience. This is where we would also go over into your website. And I always say that it really starts with your website. So your core messaging and the brand voice of your cardiology practice should really start here, right? So this is anything that has been worked on and ran through management and anybody else that's instrumental to making those really important decisions has to have pretty much approved those marketing messages, and this is really the hub, the core of where it starts, okay? So we're not really reinventing anything from scratch. We are going a lot of times directly to the website. Now, we definitely want to do the competitive analysis and see what others are doing in your market just to make sure you're not missing out on any opportunities. But really, how you want to position your ads should be very consistent with the way that your landing page also expresses the services, the benefits of the services that you provide. So make sure you go to the website. So start to look through and see, is there anything you want to carry over into Google Ads? And this process and this exercise might actually improve your website as well, because you're doing all this research, right? So you might discover other phrases or other calls to action that your competitors are doing where it's like, oh my gosh, we totally missed that. Why don't we offer the same thing or make it better, and then have that be part of your website as well? So you can see, dedicated excellence, and everybody says that, right? So I don't know if I would include that. But there are different ways. So these different services, interventional cardiology, diagnostic testing, those all live in their own ad groups, and they're very basic. They're like services, right? So we would definitely bring those over into the ads that are custom tailored for the ad group. So all of those ad groups that we looked at that were thematically developed with just a handful of keywords are going to have copy that resonates to those searches. So you want to make sure that when somebody is searching, and again, going back to previous videos where we talked about ad rank, and ad rank equals your CPC bed times your quality score, and quality score represents three different elements, right? The ad relevancy. So does your ad copy answer the query that somebody's searching for? It definitely should. If you don't, you're going to pay for it financially because Google's going to ding you. All right. And then also landing page experience, landing page quality. So again, does the content of the landing page is it also congruent with what somebody is searching for? Is there consistency there? And if you can nail that, you're going to get better quality scores. And then the final one is expected CTR, the expected or click-through rate of your ad in relation to the other competitors on the page. The higher up on the page you are, the higher your CTR. So Google's sneaky way of getting you to pay more, basically, right? But if you get those quality scores nailed, that's why you should make sure you watch the video on formulas. then you can easily be spending less than somebody who's ranked below you, just because you've taken the time to structure your account properly with the thematic ad groups. You've done a great job on your ad copy. You've filled out all the ad assets. You've done everything you can. And as a reward, you're going to get higher quality scores. And as a result of that, lower costs per click. Okay, so make sure you do that. And if you don't remember or you haven't heard of this before, go back and watch those previous videos in this series for sure. Okay, so we're going to go through it. We're going to say, okay, what can we bring forward, right? So I mean, and I'm not going to, this is something that would take a long time with. It's not, I can't do it in 2 seconds, but, you know, so like since founded in 1981, right? So there's something, gold standard in care. Okay. Best care in Arizona. Let's say diverse and elite medical team. And I'm just pulling these out right now. I'm reading this for the first time and just coming up with copy ideas that we can flush out. Like, you can start with 100 of these and just start and maybe share them with the team and go through and figure out, you know, how do you want to express yourself? How do you want to express the value that you provide your local community in cardiology? And flush that out internally. And then you can start building your ads and be very consistent with how your brand is perceived, or how the brand is perceived in the marketplace, how you want the brand to be perceived, and making sure that you're hitting all of those value points by, you know, going through all the competitors as well, doing competitive research, making sure you're not missing anything. So there's you know, many different things that you need to do when you're creating ad copy. But again, I think that the best place to start, actually, once you've done that competitive research to see what that landscape looks like, is to go directly to your website. So here, I mean, this ranking right here, talk about trust signals, right? Ranked number 1, 7 years. Perfect for Google Ads, for sure. Testimonials can be part of display ads much later on, but you can see there's right. I spent under 5 minutes, and I already have some ad copy ideas. Most experienced in Arizona. Okay, so maybe that. Patient pre-check available. Premier cardiologist. There's excellence in heart care, and then here founded in 1979. Okay, so again, these trust signals, and then there's a whole bunch of them down here, right? So world-class care. And the reason I'm skipping some of the words is I'm thinking in my head, we only have 30 characters, right? So, but something like this could easily be part of one of those 4 descriptions, right? Delivering world-class heart and vascular care close to home. Book now, or something like that. So make sure you go through your website. If your website needs to be updated, then this process can help that as well. Okay, so you're actually doing market research. So you could work with your web team and get your website updated at the same time, if that's something that needs to be done. But again, you know, there's a lot here to go through, and if you structure the campaigns correctly, usually by service type, then you should be looking at your service pages as well. So all of those ads that are in those very thematically developed ad groups should reflect that service offering, and also reflect the way that somebody is searching for it. So there's a lot of different points to consider as you're building out this ad copy, for sure. And then finally, what I would say is make sure you use these amazing AI LLMs that didn't exist just a few years ago. I mean, this has opened up the world for sure. I wouldn't start here. I would definitely do some organic research and really learn what makes your cardiology practice different and special, and highlight and emphasize that. But I would also double check with all of these tools, actually. What you can do with a lot of them, like ChatGPT and Grok, is put your URL in and say, read this website. Tell me exactly what they do. You can just pretend like you're doing research on another company. What is their unique selling position? You know, what are they what do they do that's better than anybody else, and just have it traverse your website and analyze the content of your website, and it will actually come back and give you some really amazing information a lot of times. And then once it knows your website, then you can start asking it other questions. You can say, can you give me some positioning statements that are value-driven positioning, or benefit statements, or can you just say, create for me 50 examples of Google Ads headlines and keep the characters at or under 30, right? So then you can look at knowing what it knows about your website, because at that point you've pre-trained it on the content of your website. You can say, create some ad copy for me with those restrictions, those character restrictions. And you can do the same thing with descriptions, right? So I would take that as a final exercise, because you've already done the work yourself, organically by just using your own brain and going through the process of examining the competitive landscape and looking at your website and determining if your website is communicating properly, making adjustments if needed. But then as a final step, go through these tools, because they are absolutely amazing. So go through ChatGPT, go through Grok. Grok is a new one of the most powerful models already. Gemini, which is part of Google. So if you have Google, you can go over and use Gemini. Claude has some tools here. I'm sorry, Anthropic has tools. One of them is called Claude. I think Claude is actually what it's called, and then there's different models within there as well. And then, of course, Meta, right? So Meta has Meta.ai. They used to call this Llama. I'm not sure if it's still called Llama, but there's a whole bunch of tools at your disposal now, which are just amazing. So be sure to harness all of those resources for sure. So just getting back to the basics, let's take a look again at what we're trying to do. So if you remember from earlier videos, in the very beginning, if this is a brand new account, we are targeting the bottom known performers, right? And that is that campaign that we just looked at in the live account that was just loaded, called isolation. So we are isolating the known high intent searches. The entire goal behind this is to dominate page position. We are now training the algorithm for success. It's what we call a bottom-up approach to marketing. So we're starting at the very bottom of this funnel, this buying journey funnel, and informing the algorithm, sending success signals through bookings, through content submission, through phone calls, and using those learnings to be able to, again, train the algorithm so that it can learn more about your target audience. Then we can start leaning in on other types of campaign types, which is that second campaign type that you looked at, called exploratory, right? So we would never launch with exploratory, or I shouldn't say that. In a brand new account, it's rare that we do. We always try to run isolation with the manual CPC and exact match first to understand the market. And then once we start getting traction and real conversions in the account, again, this is why conversion tracking is so important, then you can start moving into other campaign types. And then we just move up the funnel, right? Then we can get into Google Performance Max, and I'll cover that in another video. You could then expand into YouTube. You can expand into the display network. There's a whole process of activation of these different campaign types. And again, going to one of the very beginning of this entire series, this campaign rollout strategy, where it's like month one. We got month 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see here with this exact match, we're starting with exact match. Then we introduced maximize conversions with like a target CPA, target cost per acquisition. Then we can move into some performance max. We might be able to do some remarketing for certain basic web pages where we don't run into HIPAA situations. And then we can do display and video as well. Okay, so that's why you see when we're looking at the Google Ads account, that's exactly why you see those two campaigns. We actually preload each account gets preloaded with both of those campaign types. We start with the one called isolation first. We run it for 1 to 3 months. And then once we get 30, our goal is 30 conversions per month. And then we start to expand and scale an account once those conversions start coming in. Okay, and just to wrap this up, I want to tell you a little bit about this isolation campaign and the way that we monitor performance. Let's say you've just gone through the process of uploading your campaigns from the Google Ads editor, like we went through that in detail in a previous video. Or maybe you just created this manually and it's 2 weeks later, because it does take a long time, right? So here we have this particular campaign. I want to talk about the different columns that I set up here as well, because this is really important. You can customize your columns. There are certain key metrics that you're going to want to look at. And as I click on this little pencil icon, you're going to see a whole bunch of them, right? It's almost overwhelming, actually. But I can tell you, because I've been doing this for over 22 years now, there are things that you want to keep a close eye on for sure. I would recommend status. I mean, obviously it's going to say eligible if it's running, but if there's a problem in the account, you want to see the status. You definitely want to see the cost, right? And the cost, you have your date range up here. So you're going to want to monitor cost. Any of these, if you have any questions about them, just hover over and it'll give you a description. You want to track your conversions for sure. Conversion value is tracked if you're actually registering revenue of some type. A lot of times in cardiology, we don't see that unless we just manually plug in kind of an average number when we're setting up the conversion actions. But to get the true revenue figure, it would have to be fed into Google Ads later on. And you can do that through like an upload, a manual upload, or you can automate it as well through certain CRM systems. But so conversion value, a lot of times you can ignore that for now. Cost per conversion, really, really important. So this is your CPA, right? Cost per acquisition, cost per conversion. This is the profitability analysis that we did in a previous video. So making sure that our advertising is pulling in somebody who's a potential patient or somebody who becomes a patient at the proper cost structure. Conversion value, we're going to ignore that. Phone calls, we would definitely want to see phone calls. And if your conversion tracking was set up with phone calls, you can actually listen to the calls through the Google Ads interface. You can track one phone call per page, by the way. So if you need to track more than one, be sure to use a third-party calling service like CallRail, where we support CallRail. So that's, we have an arrangement with CallRail, so we can work with you in getting you set up if you're interested. Call tracking metrics is another one as well. And then we look at these different columns here that are search impression columns. Search impression share top, or search top IS is search impression share top. This will show you how often as a percentage your ads are showing up in the top 1 to 4 position. So this is really important for this particular campaign type, because our objective here is to dominate page position for the keywords that matter, right? So usually when we're starting to get conversions in the account, we're shooting for anywhere between 75 to 90% showing up at the top of the page. Search impression share is also an interesting one, but it's the entire page. And then you can really get into the weeds. Search impression share lost due to ad rank, right? So if your ad rank, we talked about ad rank in the video about formulas. If your ad rank is suffering, this is a great one to look at to see if your ad rank is suffering, because then you can say, okay, what is going on? Am I not bidding high enough, or is there something going on with my quality score, ad relevancy, landing page experience, expected CTR, or I need to make an adjustment and improve this particular KPI. Of course, you're going to want to track impressions. You're going to want to track clicks. Click-through rate, very important in terms of analyzing the ad unit. Okay, so is your ad unit resonating with your target audience? What percentage of the time are you getting clicks on your ad compared to the impressions, or how many times the ad has shown itself? So got to watch that. Your average CPC, really important as well. Make sure you're watching your costs. So that's cost per click, right? Conversion rate is another vital KPI. How often are these clicks converting? So post-click is really important. What happens once they get to their website, right? So if you have elements of friction on your website, maybe your booking page is confusing, or it requires another registration process, or there's something that's keeping somebody to just quickly get in there and book a time with your practice, then you're going to see a conversion rate decrease, okay? Or maybe your page is loading too slowly. Who knows? There could be a lot of reasons. Or maybe you're just not getting the right audience. Maybe it's a lower quality click. So there's a lot of different factors there, and conversion rate helps you, okay? These other ones I'm not going to get into by time. There's different ways to track conversions in Google Ads. I don't want to get into the weeds too much. Click share is like what percentage of the clicks are you getting in your market compared to the competition, okay? So Make sure you set those up. Again, just go into columns and then customize your columns and select what you need from over here, and it'll end up over here. And then save it. At the bottom, you save it and you name it, and then it's there forever, right? So you only have to do the work once. All right. So again, another long video, almost at 30 minutes, but a lot to unpack here in terms of ad copy. Okay, so make sure you spend a lot of quality time with this. This is just as important as those keywords. The keyword build was very important. It seems like I say everything's very, very important. The truth is, it all is important. But this is customer facing or patient facing, right? So this is you could do all the work all day long in other elements of the account, but this is really what your potential patients will see as they do a search. And you know, this is why we covered it in detail on how to build this out in that Google Sheets document, so that it's structured in a way that you're getting the highest quality scores possible. Your ad copy is answering the query, that it's reflective of the theme of the ad group, and that all 15 headlines, all 4 descriptions are filled out. There's one thing I didn't mention. When you upload your ads, you can actually create copies of your ads once they're uploaded and start experimenting with pinning your headlines, so you can have control over which headlines will show up in the proper position. Google doesn't like it, quite frankly. They like to have free reign algorithmically and be able to dynamically move your headlines in and out. You're not going to get penalized for it by any means, but I always find it's a good test later on, just to say, okay, can we drive performance by actually pinning certain headlines that we know actually converts, because maybe you've tested it internally or whatever, okay? So that's it for this particular video. Again, like I've said a few times, we do this all day long. So we build these things out in our sleep, basically. We can save you a great deal of time. So if you don't want to deal with any of this stuff with the keywords or quality score or ad rank or building ad copy, let us know. We have a gigantic list of cardiology related keywords that we could just snap in, and then we just it's pretty big, so we don't launch with all of it because every practice is different in terms of the services you offer. So we just turn off anything that's not related, and it's a huge time saver, and actually saves you a lot of money because we discount it because we know this area so well, right? So we've done it over and over again. So if you'd like to have a chat about your particular practice and how we might be able to help you, just contact me at brandrocket.net/schedule. And thank you again for sticking with me through this entire video. We're almost at the end, and I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next video. Please like or subscribe. All right, thank you.